The Mariners take on the Astros, 2:10 p.m. Eastern first pitch. Houston's minus $1.90, totals 8.5. And if you like Seattle in an upset on the road here, they're plus $1.65 for some money line cash. Now they're also minus $1.20, catching the 1.5 on the run line. Tyler Anderson's the starting pitcher for Seattle. Jose Urquidy for the Astros. And following a winning day of premium sports picks on my BrockPage.com website yesterday, we also improved to 74% in our last 19 Major League Baseball tier package picks on that very same page. And the good news is we have another Major League Baseball tier package pick going off here today. We also improved to 2-0 in our last two board member tier package picks on BrockPage.com as well. And once again, we've got ourselves another board member tier package pick going off here today as well. We currently have over 725 members who are signed up and active on that site. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks that I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on my website. Once again, that's BrockPage.com. Now, Houston's Jose Urquidy is 6-3 on the season with a 3.42 ERA and a .98 WHIP. The first place Astros are 24 games over 500, and they allow just 3.8 runs a game at Minute Maid Park. They're taking on a Seattle club who's dead last in the majors in hits per game. The Mariners also have a losing road record, and their pitching staff's dead last in road hits allowed. And when it comes to the total in this one, Seattle's last 5 straight road games all got over the number. Meanwhile, the Astros are 62% to the over in their divisional ball games. I'm going to lean toward the Houston Astros minus 1.5 and the over 8.5 runs. Next ball game, Giants Rockies, 3:10 p.m. East. The San Francisco Giants are minus 145, totals 11.5. Anthony DeSclafani for San Francisco. John Gray for Colorado. Now, Johnny Gray's got double-digit losses on the year, 4.13 ERA and a 1.32 WHIP. This Colorado pitching staff is dead last in the majors in home strikeouts. They're fanning just 7.6 batters a game at Coors Field. They're taking on a first-place Giants club who's in the top 10 in road scoring. Brandon Crawford's batting .294 with an OPS of .872. He's in the top 25 in the league in both of those categories. Meanwhile, pitching-wise, the Giants lead the majors in fewest walks allowed per 9. Anthony DeSclafani's 11-6 on the season, 3.24 ERA and a 1.09 WHIP. The righties also struck out 132 batters. Now, total-wise, the Giants saw their last 3 straight road games get over the number. They're also 7-3 to the over in their last 10 meetings with Colorado. I'm going to lean toward the San Francisco Giants minus 145 and the over 11.5. Next ball game, Rangers D-backs, 3:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Arizona Diamondbacks are minus 160, totals 9. Luke Weaver for Arizona. Kohei Ariara for Texas. Despite a few rough outings for Kohei, the Rangers have been cashing in on the run line quite well here recently. They're 7-3 against the number in their last 10, 4-1 against the number in their last 5 on the road. They're taking on a last-place D-backs club who has the worst record in the National League. Arizona's also in the bottom 3 in runs allowed. Luke Weaver comes into this contest here today with a 4.11 ERA. When it comes to the total on this one, Arizona went 70% to the over in their last 10 outings, 5-2 to the over in their last 7 at Chase Field. I'm going to lean toward the Texas Rangers plus 1.5 and the over 9 runs. Next contest, Twins versus the Indians, 6:10 Eastern start time. The Cleveland Indians are minus 135, totals 9. Tristan McKenzie for the Indians, Joe Ryan for Minnesota. Now, Ryan's got just 5 innings of work under his belt with Minnesota. He's officially 0-1 with a 5.40 ERA. The last place Twins are 16 games under 500, and they've won only 41% of their divisional road games. They're taking on a Cleveland squad who's 35-24 against the AL Central themselves. This Cleveland pitching staff's also in the top 15 in home hits allowed. Tristan McKenzie's got 113 strikeouts on the year. He also comes into today's contest with a 1.11 whip. Now, total-wise, Cleveland 16-10 to the over in their divisional home games. Meanwhile, the Twins are over 67% to the over in their road games for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward the Cleveland Indians minus 135 and the over 9 runs. Next ball game, Tigers versus the Pirates, 6:35 East. The Pittsburgh Pirates are minus $1.20, totals 9 flat. Mitch Keller for Pittsburgh, Matt Manning for Detroit. Now the Tigers are in the top 15 in the league in road scoring. Jonathan Scope's batting .282 with 73 RBI. Meanwhile, Robbie Grossman's hit 21 homers at the plate as well. Detroit's taking on a last-place Pirates club who has the second fewest wins in the National League. This Pittsburgh lineup also scores fewer runs per contest than any other team in the majors. When it comes to the pitching in this one, Mitch Keller's just 4-10 with a 6.23 ERA and a 1.74 whip. When it comes to the total on this one, Pittsburgh saw 7 out of their last 10 ball games get over the number. Meanwhile, the Tigers went 60% to the over in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Detroit Tigers plus $1 in the over 9 runs. Next ball game, Mets Marlins 6:40 East. The New York Mets are minus 120, total 7. Rich Hill for New York, Sandy Alcantara for Miami. Now Sandy's got 8 wins on the year along with a 3.36 ERA. The righty struck out 164 batters and currently has a 1.12 whip. Miami's got a winning record at Lone Depot Park. They're holding their opponents to just 3.8 runs a game as the home team. They're taking on a Mets club who plays their worst baseball when traveling. They're just 13-20 straight up in their divisional road games. This Mets lineup is also averaging just 3.9 runs per contest. Starting pitcher Rich Hill is 0-2 with his new ball club, 4.83 ERA and a 1.29 whip. When it comes to the scoring in this one, the Marlins went 60% to the under in their last 10 outings, 5-3 to the under in their last 8 at home. I'm going to lean toward the Miami Marlins plus $1 and the under 7 runs. Next contest, Royals versus the O's, 7:05 Eastern Standard Time. Kansas City's minus 135, totals 9.5. Mike Minor for Kansas City, Matt Harvey for Baltimore. Now Harvey's a dismal 6-14 with a 6.28 ERA and a 1.52 whip. The last place Orioles have the worst record in Major League Baseball. This Baltimore pitching staff allows more hits per contest than any other team in the majors. They're taking on a Royals club who won 3 out of their last 5 themselves, top 3 in the majors in fewest strikeouts at the plate. Salvi Perez has 41 home runs and 103 RBI. He's leading the majors in that RBI category. Meanwhile, pitching-wise, Mike Minor has 8 wins on the year, along with 146 strikeouts. Now, total-wise, 6 out of Kansas City's last 10 meetings with Baltimore did get over the line. Meanwhile, the Orioles went 34-21 to the over against American League competition at Camden Yards. I'm going to lean toward the Kansas City Royals minus 135 and the over 9.5. Next contest, Blue Jays, Yankees, 7:05 Eastern start time. The New York Yankees are minus $1.25, numbers 10. Luis Gil for New York, Alek Manoah for Toronto. Now Manoah's 5-2 with a 3.63 ERA and a 1.10 whip. The righties also struck out 88 batters in just over 79 innings. This Toronto lineup's also in the top 3 in scoring on average per game. Vlad Guerrero's batting .319 with 40 homers and 98 ribbies. The slugger is also leading the majors with a 1.010 OPS. The Blue Jays are currently on a 6-game winning streak. They're taking on a struggling Yankees club who lost their last 4 straight themselves, 2-8 straight up in their last 10. New York's just 28-34 against their divisional opponents on the year. Their lineups in the bottom 5 in hits on average per game at home. Now, total-wise, New York went 7-3 to the under in their last 10 outings, 4-1 to the under in their last 5 at Yankee Stadium. Meanwhile, the Blue Jays went 70% to the under in their last 10 themselves, 4-0 to the under in their last 4 when they bat first. I'm going to lean toward the Toronto Blue Jays plus 105 in the under 10 runs. Next ball game, Rays versus the Red Sox, 7-10 East. Both teams are minus $110, totals 9.5. Shane McClanahan for Tampa Bay, Nathan Eovaldi for Boston. Despite some really good stuff out of Eovaldi here recently, the Red Sox are on a 3-game losing streak, and they gave up 34 total runs during that stretch. As a matter of fact, this shaky Boston pitching staff is in the bottom 3 in the majors in hits allowed per game. They're taking on a first-place Tampa club who leads the league in scoring. Brandon Lowe's hit 33 homers and knocked in 82. Meanwhile, Austin Meadows is 5th in the majors with 97 RBI. When it comes to the pitching in this one, Shane McClanahan's 9-5 with a 3.76 ERA, along with 125 strikeouts. Now, total-wise, Tampa's last 3 straight road games all got over the number. Boston went 4-1 at the over in their last 5 at Fenway. I'm going to lean toward the Tampa Bay Rays minus $110 in the over 9.5. Next contest, Nationals Braves, 7:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Atlanta Braves are minus 220, totals 10. Tuki Toussaint for Atlanta, Sean Nolan for Washington. Nolan's 0-2 through just 17 1/3 innings of work with Washington, 5.71 ERA and a 1.67 WHIP. Washington lost 9 out of their last 11, and they're playing just .382 baseball against the NL East. They're taking on a first-place Braves club who's in the top 10 in scoring on average per game. Austin Riley's batting .303 with 29 homers and 87 RBI. Now, the third baseman also has an OPS of .912 and finds himself in the top 20 in the majors in all of the aforementioned categories. Ozzie Albies is also 8th in the bigs with 93 RBI himself. Now, total-wise, 8 out of Atlanta's last 10 ball games stayed under the line. Meanwhile, the Nationals went 19-14 to the under in their divisional road games as well. I'm going to lean toward the Atlanta Braves minus 1.5 in the under 10 runs. Next contest, it is going to be Reds versus the Cubs, 7:40 East. The Cincinnati Reds are minus $1.25, totals 9. Vlad Gutierrez for Cincinnati, Alec Mills for Chicago. Now, Mills comes into today's contest with a .425 ERA and a 1.41 WHIP. This Cubs lineup strikes out more per contest than any other team in the big leagues. They're also being held to just 7.5 hits a game. They're taking on a Cincinnati club who's in the top 10 in scoring. Nick Castellanos has a league-leading .320 batting average, along with a .954 OPS. Meanwhile, Joey Votto's hit 28 homers and knocked in 85. When it comes to the pitching in this one, Vlad Gutierrez comes into today's battle with a 9-6 record on the year. Now, total-wise, the Reds are 35-28 to the over against the National League Central. Meanwhile, the Cubbies saw 4 out of their last 6 home games at Wrigley get over the line. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the Cincinnati Reds minus $1.25 in the over 9 runs. Next contest, Phillies Brewers, 7:40 Eastern start time. The Milwaukee Brewers are minus 160, totals 8. Freddie Peralta for Milwaukee, Kyle Gibson for Philadelphia. But as good as Gibson's been, the Phils lost 3 out of their last 5 ball games, and they win just 45% of their road games. They're taking on a first-place Milwaukee club who's 30 games over 500, and they also got the W in 7 out of their last 10. This Milwaukee pitching staff strikes out over 10.3 batters a game at home. Freddie Peralta is also 9-4 with a .270 ERA and a .96 WHIP. Now, the righties also struck out 168 batters. And when it comes to the number in this one, 4 out of Milwaukee's last 5 home games got over the posted total. Meanwhile, Philly went 7-3 to the over in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward The Milwaukee Brewers minus 160 and the over 8 runs. Next contest, Dodgers Cardinals 7:45 Eastern Standard Time. The LA Dodgers are minus 130, totals 8.5. Mitch White for Los Angeles, Adam Wainwright for St. Louis. But despite some really good outings out of Wainwright this season, St. Louis is currently on a 4-game losing streak. And their lineup scoring just 3.7 runs a game at Busch Stadium. They're taking on a Dodger club who leads the majors in fewest runs allowed per contest. Their pitchers are also averaging double-digit strikeouts a game. Mitch White comes into today's ballgame with a 3.49 ERA. When it comes to the total in this one, Los Angeles went 9-1 to the under in their last 10 ball games, 4-1 to the under in their last 5 on the road. Meanwhile, the Cards are 63% to the under at Busch Stadium. I'm going to lean toward the LA Dodgers minus 130 and the under 8.5. Next matchup, Angels versus the Padres, 8:10 p.m. East. The San Diego Padres are minus 240, numbers 8. Yu Darvish for San Diego. No confirmed starter yet for Los Angeles, but no matter who ends up throwing the first pitch for LA, we're still looking at an Angels club who won 6 out of their last 9 ball games, and they also find themselves in the top 10 in the league in hits per game. Shohei Ohtani's hit a league-leading 43 home runs. The Sluggers also knocked in 93 runners and has an OPS of 964. Now the Angels are taking on a Padres club who failed to cash in on the run line in 3 out of their last 5 home games. As a matter of fact, this Padres club has cashed in on the run line in just 44% of their home games for the entire season. The San Diego lineup, is in the bottom 10 in home scoring. They're also being held to just 7.6 hits a game at Petco Park. Now, Yu Darvish comes into today's ball game with a lackluster 7-9 record, along with a 4.05 ERA. When it comes to the total in this one, the Pods are 14-5 to the over in their interleague contest, 7-2 to the over in their last 9 interleague games at home. Meanwhile, the Angels have gone 12-7 to the over in their interleague matchups themselves. I'm going to lean toward the LA Angels plus 1.5 and the over 8 runs. But that, guys, now it's time for our next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be White Sox versus the A's, 9:40 Eastern first pitch. The Oakland A's are minus 165, totals 8.5. Frankie Montas for Oakland, Dallas Keuchel for Chicago. The first place White Sox won 7 out of their last 10 ball games, and they also rank in the top 5 in the league in hits on average per contest. Jose Abreu's leading the majors with 103 RBI. The first baseman's also hit 28 home runs at the plate. The White Sox have cashed in on the run line in 7 out of their last 10 ball games as well. They're taking on an Oakland club who's on a 4-game losing streak, and they rank in the bottom 3 in hits on average per game at home. When it comes to the scoring in this one, 3 out of Oakland's last 4 contests at the Coliseum fell under the number. They're also 74-64 to the under for the entire season. Meanwhile, the White Sox saw 3 out of their last 5 road games stay under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Chicago White Sox plus 1.5 and the under 8.5 runs. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are hitting at 74% in our last 19 Major League Baseball tier package picks on that page. I like Houston minus 1.5 over 8.5. San Francisco minus 145 over 11.5. Texas plus 1.5 over 9 runs. Cleveland minus $1.35 over 9. Detroit plus $1 over 9 runs. Miami plus $1 under 7. Kansas City minus $1.35 over 9.5. Toronto plus 105 under 10. Tampa Bay minus $1.10 over 9.5. Atlanta minus 1.5 under 10 runs. I'm also leaning towards Cincinnati minus $1.25 over 9. Milwaukee minus 160 over 8. LA Dodgers minus 130 under 8.5. LA Angels plus 1.5 over 8 runs. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are hitting at 74% in our last 19 Major League Baseball tier package picks on my BrockPage.com website. We're also 2-0 in our last couple of board member tier package picks on that very same webpage. I'm going to lean toward the Chicago White Sox plus 1.5 and the under 8.5 runs. With that, guys, now it's time for our shout out of the day. And that's from our YouTube platform. And of course, that shout out, it's going to go to LeBron James, who said yesterday, "What a day of picks, my man. Doesn't get much better than that." And of course, he's referring to our free picks here on YouTube. I believe we went 19-9 with 2 pushes on the free content yesterday, which is definitely a great day. Wish we could do that every day. And of course, we also had a winning day on our premium picks on BrockPage.com. And of course, LeBron James, always great to see in the comment section. And I appreciate you acknowledging the good and not the bad. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my website. Now, if you guys do end up getting a membership here today on BrockPage.com, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today on that BrockPage.com website, you're going to get access to that content all the way through the end of September. I always tell folks the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. But most importantly, guys, gotta thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, guys, happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at BrockPage.com.